everyone in podcast listening land. I'm Karen Devaney.
And I'm Ann Barner.
And we're sisters.
Welcome to Sugar-Coated Murder, where we'll discuss
and probably inappropriately laugh about and comment on.
Yep, one of our favorite subjects.
Murder. Oh, and we love to bake. And why not combine our two favorite subjects?
Baking.
And killers. Hey there, hi there, ho there.
Oh my. Oh my. It's been a while. It's been a while since we recorded.
While. So, I'm Karen.
I'm Ann.
Isn't it nice to know I know who I am today?
It is.
So, yeah, it's been a while. We just had some things, some life things that just got in our way, but here we are.
We're back.
And, sometimes we may be on pause, but we're always coming back.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, y'all can't get rid of us that
No,
easy.
because we've got stories to tell.
We got stories to tell.
Holy
yes,
smokes.
Absolutely.
So, what's happening this week, because we did take a little bit of a break, I had a birthday while we were gone.
Happy birthday.
And Karen and I have made it a tradition now. We don't buy each other gifts. So, I don't know why we decided that.
I think that we were really not buying each other gifts anyway for a while because we spend money on our kids and it's right after Christmas when your birthday happens and it's just never a good time when my birthday happens.
Right. So we decided to bake each other
and we really
desserts.
Don't need anything
we really
from
don't.
each other.
We
like,
don't.
What am I going to give you? I can't afford to give you a new car. So everything else is off the table.
True that.
Yeah.
So we bake dessert for each other instead.
Yeah, and we usually let the person whose birthday it is pick the dessert.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. This time, Annie picked a caramel cake.
Just like last year. I can't help it, guys. I love a caramel cake, and they're not hard to find, but they're very expensive to find. Like if you go online and you find one from, I think it's Caroline's Cakes or
even like in
anywhere,
our local bakery.
It's like $60 freaking for a cake.
You can't just walk into Publix and get a caramel cake.
Right.
It has to be like a bakery business.
Right.
And even then, they're $40, $45, $50.
Nobody wants to spend that kind of money on a freaking cake.
Not when you can make it yourself.
Heck no.
So I do get it, though, because usually caramel cakes have very thin layers. So they cut their layers in half and they stack it really high.
Hey, I got bad news for these people. You can find pretty much whatever you want to cut your own cake on Amazon.
Yeah. Well,
there is a thing now that you can just put over your cake. And you just cut right through this sucker, and your cakes are cut. It's insane. It's like a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer now. It didn't used to be. I used to have to use dental floss to cut through cakes. That was the easiest way for me to do it. Because I could never. I mean, I can't slice a bagel evenly. How am I going to cut a cake? So, yeah. So anyway, we decided to do that, and I thought it was perfect because we had the vanilla cupcakes for your boy's birthday that were such a hit.
Oh, yeah.
And that was originally a cake recipe.
Right.
That I just made into cupcakes.
Yeah.
So God bless Sally and her baking addiction. I went to that no-fail vanilla cake.
Yes.
And then I worked on finding a caramel icing, which is kind of funny because all the caramel icings that I found were incredibly complicated. Like the one that I was going with, you had to put it in some kind of an ice bath for 5 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, so here we are trying to get ourselves ready because our dear friend Andrea invited us to visit her in West Virginia, which was so much fun. We're trying to get ourselves ready, and we want to take a cake because we're celebrating our birthdays while we're there. And she's like, I've got a million things to do, and this recipe is complicated. I'm coming up to your place for moral support. I'm like, come on. And I couldn't figure out why. Why is it so complicated?
I couldn't figure it out either, honestly. So Anne found the recipe that will now be the recipe for all the caramel frostings forever and ever. Amen.
Oh, yeah.
Because not only was it easy, it was flippin' delicious.
Yes.
And
it's what you think a caramel cake, like a caramel cake icing isn't going to be your buttercream fluffy icing. It's heavy. It's heavy and it coats and it hardens.
Yep.
And then when you cut through that kind of crackles and it's soft and it just melts in your mouth.
Yeah, and this was absolutely heavenly. So I will give you all the recipe. But so when I made the recipe, the servings, it was said 12 servings. And I was like, I'll make 12 servings because I looked up for a cake. Well, 12 servings does not quite frost one layer of a cake.
No.
So then I was like, okay, fine. I've got enough ingredients. I'll just do another one. So I did another one, and then we were able to frost the other one.
Right.
But I should have tripled it. I should have made it for 36 servings. Is what I should have done.
I think the way you did it was perfect.
Yeah, because I made 3 layers because, of course, we make 3 layers for our cakes. But we couldn't frost the other layer, so what did we do? Well, we cut that sucker up and ate it.
Yeah. We took the leftover frosting that wasn't quite enough to frost the whole layer, and we just ate it.
We ate it, and it was dreamy. It was so good. It was really wonderful.
We stacked it like a 2-layer cake, and Andrea was none the wiser.
I know, and I think she enjoyed it. I think it was a big hit. But I do, in retrospect, I do get why they do the thin layers, because that caramel icing doesn't penetrate into the layer.
No.
Like buttercream kind of penetrates into the layer, so it makes it adds to the moisture of the cake.
Yeah.
Well, now I get these layers when you use just a regular size layer, it dries out a little bit.
I didn't think it got dry at all, but that's just me.
I felt like it was a little dry for me.
Right.
But I don't know. So anyway, I get the smaller layers.
Keep in mind, we went from 60-degree weather to 18-degree weather.
And we went from 80% humidity to 0% humidity. So by the time Ann and I got there, we had driven through mountains and snow, and literally through mountains because there were tunnels that Ann had never driven through a tunnel before like that.
Lord have mercy.
I was like, wee! She was white knuckle driving.
It was like a grandma. Oh my God.
Yes, and so...
And Andrea's husband laughed at us because we got out of the car in flip-flops and short-sleeve shirts, and there was snow on the ground.
I know.
He's
that was
like, you'll
really
never
funny.
make it
He's
here.
Like, y'all aren't going to be okay. So little did he know he's the one that probably wasn't going to be okay because the sisters had descended upon them.
Oh, I'm sure his life changed forever.
Forever. Yes, we've made an indelible mark. But it was really fun. We had a great time. It was absolutely gorgeous up there. And can't wait to go back.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Can't wait to go back.
I can't either.
Because the snow was gorgeous. Everything. They took us on this incredible hike that was like, I even stopped in the middle of it and said, Sugar, we are walking through a winter wonderland right now, just like the song said.
And it's true, we really were.
Yeah,
we really were.
We had a great time. It was a wonderful time. They could not have been better hosts to us and our craziness that we bring. So, and then the cake was good.
Cake was delicious.
Yeah. So, should I give them? Why don't you talk about something like a murder or something, and then when you're done, I'll give them the recipe.
Okay. All right. I'll do it.
So.
I got a murder. This one takes place in Canada.
Canada. We're supposed to break into a song.
Oh, sorry.
Well, it's been a while.
It has been. So this one takes place in Canada. Oh, Canada. There we go. Much better. Okay. So I did my research. I got information from the CaledonEnterprise.com, True Crime Daily, and BBC News. Just in case anybody wants to look anything up. Tim Bosma. Nope, not Bosman. I always want to say that, but it's not. It's Bosma, or it could be Bosma. It's Bosma. So forgive me, people. He got a lemon of a truck. And he and his wife were pouring money into it, trying to get it fixed. And he and his wife had just had a baby, so they agreed they needed to get rid of their truck. They needed to cut their losses.
Good thing they didn't say get rid of the baby.
Oh God, no. They were just going to put it online, try to sell it, and hope for the best.
Okay.
After several weeks of nothing, they finally got a hit. Someone wanted to take the truck for a test drive. The man and his friend were going to come to, it's Hamilton, Canada. It's in Ontario. They were coming from Toronto. It was a Sunday evening, and the guys were late for their appointment. They finally showed up at 9 p.m., and Tim kind of had an uneasy feeling about it because it's 9 o'clock. You're going to take this out on a test drive at 9 o'clock at night.
Easy feeling.
He did not have a peaceful, easy feeling.
Dang, I'm sorry.
And he even told his wife he didn't have a peaceful, easy feeling.
I don't have a peaceful, easy feeling.
They were both just so ready to be done with this freaking truck.
I can understand.
So he puts his daughter down to bed, kissed his wife, walked out the door, and never came home.
Oh, gee.
Tim's wife tried calling and texting, but there was no answer. She called the police, and they got busy trying to find Tim. Now, Ontario is much like the United States, where usually it's a missing person situation. They wait 24 hours to see if they hear anything. But because of the circumstance of what Tim said, he was uneasy. He went out with 2 guys. The guys were going to buy a truck. The police just went ahead and started doing their thing, which is really, really, really awesome that they did that.
Yes. Way to go, Popo.
So Tim's wife the next day makes a plea to the public for help finding Tim. And, like everybody, she's holding her breath, and she sees a call come through on her cell phone, and it's from Tim's phone.
Oh, wow.
But unfortunately, it's not Tim.
Uh-oh.
It's a man who had found Tim's phone while he was mowing the lawn in an industrial area that was close by.
Oh.
Excuse me. Gosh, I had to clear my throat. It's been a while.
Okay.
She's looking at me, very judgmental people. Mm-hmm. The police retrieve the phone, and they look for any kind of clues that might help them search for Tim. In the phone history, they can see that the calls Tim received about his truck had come from a burner phone. They were able to get a little bit of information from the burner phone. After calling some of the numbers that were made from the phone, police were able to track down a man named, I call him Igor. He could be Igor. It's Igor.
I think it's Igor.
Well,
but Igor's fine.
Igor was also had a truck that he was trying to sell. Uh-huh. And the police go and talk to him and try to see if by chance 2 guys had come to check out his truck. Maybe they could tie him back to something. Well, Igor was a big, buff man. He actually had been in the Israeli military.
Lordy.
And clearly, he was not somebody to be messed with.
Oh, Igor.
Igor. He did remember, though, meeting with the men about the truck, but he couldn't remember anything else except for a tattoo. One of them had a tattoo that on his forearm, and it read ambition.
Oh.
Ambition.
I wonder if it was spelled correctly.
I don't know.
That's a tricky one.
Right. Police take this back to the station, and they start searching their records to see, because, when you get arrested, if you have tattoos on your body, police take pictures of the tattoos. They're stored in a database, and if you come up again, they can match you to your tattoo. So remember that when you get a tattoo.
Make sure it's pretty.
Yes. And maybe don't break the law. Just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, they actually get a hit on a guy named Dellen. So it's like Ellen, but with a D.
Golly dang.
So add a D to Ellen.
Okay.
Dellen.
Dellen
Miller. Dellen. Dellen Miller is Millard. Millard is 27.
It's Millard?
Millard. Millard.
Yeah, it sounds like Millard to me.
Yeah. Well, they might pronounce it something different.
I'm sure in Canada they're like, what the
F? Who are they talking about? Oh my gosh.
Don't know. Please translate.
So here's the thing about Dellen. Dellen comes from an extremely wealthy family. He's the heir to an aviation fortune.
Yo.
When he was 14 years old, he became the first teenager to fly a helicopter and an airplane on the same day, which I didn't know that was a thing. But, I mean, good on you, man.
But way to go, Ellen.
Ellen, way to go. Ellen's father committed suicide in 2012.
Well, that's very tragic.
His father had invested over $3 million in a new airport hangar for a project. And it has been said that Dellen wasn't happy with the investment. And within days of his father's death, Dellen actually shut down that project and instead focused on the party life.
Oh, of course.
He threw his money around like he had an endless supply, which I guess he probably did.
I don't know what that looks like.
I don't either. He liked to hang out with younger people. He liked to party like a rock star. He was friends with a wannabe rapper named Mark Schmitch. S-M-I-C-H. I don't know. I'm just going to call him Mark. And Dallin.
Schmitch? How do you say Schmitch?
The newspaper articles don't tell you how to pronounce it because they don't. They should.
They should.
S-M-I-C-H.
Schmitch.
We gave Trout a lick bowl, but we gave it to him too early.
Oh and now he really tears that up.
Yeah, he did.
We're going to have to find other things for him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm going to continue with my story and let you deal with Trout.
Okay, that's not a good idea. I'm just going to ignore.
Okay. So Dallin wanted to be this guy, Mark's producer and manager. Mm-hmm. You know, because how cool is that? And they like to hang out and do drugs and play video games. And one thing that they really enjoyed doing was stealing cars.
Oh, my God.
I know. I mean, what else would you do as a rock star heir to a millionaire?
I don't know. Maybe do something good in your life?
I mean, build planes, sell planes, fly planes.
What the fortune wasn't enough. He needed some fame. That's
too much money, not enough supervision,
and not enough things to do in your life that are good. No structure.
Right. So, please hold on. I'm getting some treats for Trout.
Yeah, why don't I be in charge of those?
Yeah, just break them up.
I know what to do.
Do you?
I know what to do.
Okay. All right. Oops. So here we go. Back to the story. As a matter of fact, Dallin had this brilliant idea.
I don't think it's going to be brilliant.
Rather than build planes, sell planes, that kind of thing in this extremely huge airport hangar.
Yeah.
We're going to turn it into a chop shop.
Oh my God.
I'm going to steal them. We're going to chop them. We're going to resell them and make all this cash.
I really think he was trying to live like a movie he saw, maybe.
That is like Gone in 60 Seconds, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different movies.
Yeah. So, I think that was not nice. That was stupid. I don't think that's what his father had intended.
Stupid, Dallin.
Stupid. So police start tracking down Dallin. 5 days after Tim went missing, the police spot Dallin. He's at the bank withdrawing $3,000 because they have him under suspicion of, and they know that he was most likely one of the people that Tim had left with. They arrest him. Wow. They take him down to the station, and when they do their pat down before they put him in the car, they find Tim's keys in his pockets, and then he gets arrested. They arrest him for unlawful detention because at this point that's all they got. Dallin doesn't say anything about where Tim might be. But what an idiot. Are you serious? Really? You're going to keep the keys in your pocket? Brilliant.
He's not a brilliant kid. I mean, I'm just saying he's not high up on the IQ ladder. So police are searching for answers. They come across surveillance video from a business where they can see Tim's truck drive past shortly after Tim left with 2 men. It appears to be Dallin driving, Tim in the passenger seat, and they believe this Mark Schmitch is sitting in the back. Mark the rapper.
They go down to the next business and look at more surveillance. And at the next business, they realize they're at the field where Tim's phone is found.
Oh, wow.
This video shows Tim's truck followed by Dallin's SUV. Next, police take a look at video from Dallin's airplane hangar because, for God's sakes, you're going to want to have a video camera system set up in your chop shop, right? Because that's really smart.
That's how you're going to let everybody know that you're that you're famous.
Why not just stream it live?
Yeah, why not?
Here they see Tim's truck pull up, followed by Dallin's SUV, and there is a piece of equipment attached to Tim's truck. About an hour into the footage, police see bright flames erupt outside the hangar. The flames burn all night, and police now have enough evidence to get a warrant to search the hangar and all of Dallin's properties, of which he has multiple. The The search of the hangar doesn't turn up anything, but because the chop shop guys are smart, right? Okay. But they do get some more video surveillance because, of course, you're going to have surveillance inside your chop shop because that makes sense. 3 days after Tim goes missing, they see Dylan's SUV towing one of those. They call it a fifth wheel camper.
Yeah.
Like, It's not a camper, it's a trailer. So it's big. And they can see Dylan is towing this big piece of equipment out of the hangar. They find the trailer at Dylan's mother's house.
So this is like a trailer that you would be able to drive a car into.
Yeah.
And it's covered. It's like a U-Haul trailer, but for equipment.
Right.
Like, you can put motorcycles
NASCAR.
in it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it. And of course, when they go to search Dylan's mom's house, they found it there.
Because he's brilliant.
And when they open it up, what do you think's inside?
Oh my gosh, could it be Tim's SUV?
It's his truck.
I mean, his truck.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what he was driving, was a truck,
yes.
SUV.
The 2 front seats were missing, but the police find blood stains, a .38 caliber gun, shell casing, and then they light it up with luminol, and there's lots of blood splatter inside the truck. They test the results, and they find that the blood belonged to Tim. Then police, as they're looking through, find a toolbox with a .38 caliber gun inside, with Dylan and Mark's fingerprints are all over the truck. They're on the gun.
Oh my God, these guys are just dumb.
Because they don't care. They don't care. They just want to see if they can get away with it.
Yeah.
It's a rich kid, just, I don't know. I don't even know. Being an idiot. Yeah. So police then turn their search to Dylan's other properties that he has.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up the dog now.
Yeah, because I've thrown as many treats as I can.
Yeah. Come on, now he'll have the trots later.
Yeah.
Because he's had his lick mat with peanut butter.
Yeah, and now he's had 3 treats.
And a calm pill.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. There you go. So police they're on one of the properties, and they find behind a wooded area another big piece of equipment. It's actually an industrial incinerator that's used on farms to discard farm-sized animals like horses
like
and cows. Right. It runs at about 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
It has a hitch on it and wheels mounted on it, which is unusual for this type of equipment. And on the side is painted the name The Eliminator. I know.
Why would you name it?
Because you're an asshole rich kid with no supervision and you're trying...
Do you think they put Tim in there?
I do.
Really?
I really do.
Do you think they... I need for you to get to the end of the story. I have questions.
Okay. The police... You're going to be so surprised about how this story turns out.
Okay.
Police take the Eliminator back to the station and they bring in a forensic pathologist. And they collect some of the materials inside. There are blood stains on the outside of the Eliminator, and they take swabs of that. Everything gets tested. The pathologist actually found a tooth and some bone fragments inside, and everything gets sent off to the lab. So while they're waiting, they just go ahead and arrest Mark, pick old Mark up. When the pathology report comes back, they're surprised that the remains belong to 2 people.
Oh my gosh. One
was Tim, and the other one was from a girl named Laura Babcock, who was an ex-girlfriend of Dylan's that had been missing.
What?
Yes. Dylan and Mark are both charged with first-degree murder, and they are convicted of first-degree murder.
What the?
Then they were charged for the murder of Laura Babcock. It turns out that Laura was last seen with Dylan. Dylan, Mark, and Dylan's current girlfriend planned on getting rid of Laura because Dylan was involved in a love triangle.
Okay.
So he decided he had to get rid of one of them.
All right.
And Laura was it.
She just drew the short straw.
Yeah.
And then the other girl was fine with getting rid of her.
Right.
Like, not just breaking up with her, but actually disposing of her life.
Right. And they actually planned the whole thing out via text.
Oh my God, these people are geniuses. Just geniuses.
Right. Right.
Oh my gosh.
By the time Dylan stands trial, he's out of money.
Well, Lottie freaking duh.
Because when he was arrested, all of his accounts got frozen.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
He also, I'm sure on the advice of his attorney, transferred his assets to his mother. And he asked the judge for a court-appointed attorney saying that he was out of money. He didn't have any money.
I'd have been like,
and the judge said, too freaking bad.
Good.
You can represent yourself.
Shut your mouth. I love that judge.
Yeah. This is in Laura's trial.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that.
So Dylan and Mark were both found guilty of first-degree murder of Laura Babcock.
Oh my gosh.
They received 2 consecutive life sentences.
Consecutive.
Each. So life for Tim's murder, life for Laura.
Yeah.
Consecutive.
I love that.
Right.
Whoa. Oh, Canada.
Right.
You know how to do it.
That's right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
But we're not quite finished.
Mother effing.
During all of the investigations, police said, you know what? I think we better go back and check into Dylan's dad's suicide.
No, don't say it.
We should look at it.
Oh my God.
We should just take a look-see. Well, guess what? It turns out that Dylan's fingerprints were on the freaking gun. He was also the one that found his dad's body. He and his dad had become, Dylan had become unhappy with his dad. His dad was giving him a hard time about his behavior and his spending habits.
His video playing, spending habits, doing nothing with your life.
Right.
While, oh, by the way, Dad has made a fortune for you.
Exactly. So, they think that there are people who speculate that Dylan's dad was getting ready to cut him off.
I'm sure he was.
Disinherit him. So Dylan decided, okay, I think I might kill him.
This guy is nuts.
They go and they find out that Dylan's alibi for where he was when his dad would have committed suicide was at Mark's house. So, yeah.
Mark the rapper.
Yeah.
Well, you ain't rapping no more. Well, you might be rapping something.
I don't know. When Dylan found his dad's body, instead of calling 911, he called his mother, who had been divorced from Dylan's dad for more than 10 years.
Oh, my gosh.
Idiot. Research into where the gun came from showed it was stolen from a friend of Dylan's. Dylan was found guilty and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years. I guess even if you get life, there's still...
Yeah, I know.
After so much time, you can...
You can apply
for it. So Dylan can apply for parole in 2088 when he's 103.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dylan's sentence is the longest term that's ever been handed down in the history of Ontario. Go, Ontario.
Go, Ontario, go.
And
go, Ontario, go.
With 3 killings, he's now a serial killer.
And gosh, I don't think that he would have been stopped had he not been found out.
No, I don't think so either.
This was just the beginning of his budding career.
And there could have been more. We don't know. Of course, yeah. We don't know.
I mean, Dylan's mom better count her lucky stars that she never pissed off her kid.
Well, here's the thing about that situation. Tim's wife and Laura's family have both filed civil suits to get money.
That's right. And guess where it's going to come from?
It's going to come from that estate.
Yes.
But
that he transferred
there are
to
people
her.
That are speculating that he'll be disinherited, and you're not allowed to profit off of anything when you're in jail in Canada.
No.
So these prisoners that get the big book deals and, they get to keep the money or whatever, that didn't happen in Canada.
Does it happen here in the United States?
I think it does.
Really?
I think that you can profit.
Oh, I didn't think you could. I thought when they got those book deals that the
and you probably can't get it in jail. You can't have access to it,
but like your family members can get it?
Right.
Because I think that's bullshit. I think it should be the victims' families that get that.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with that. There wasn't
have to do some research
any
on that.
Information on that. They probably, so it was 2018 when he was convicted for his dad. How old
was he? I don't remember.
He was born in 1985. He was 27.
Okay. Golly day.
Can you imagine? What a jackass.
I mean, he was ruthless.
He was ruthless. He bought an
just
incinerator.
A bad seed. This is just a spoiled child.
With no supervision.
No structure.
Nothing.
And whose dad just worked his ass off to be able to provide for his son, and then his son just throws it all away, and not only that, kills the dad.
Right.
You killed the golden goose, you dumbass. He killed the golden goose.
He did. Before he ever laid the eggs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Idiot. Yeah, so, yeah.
I feel bad for that man. Not only did he die knowing his son killed him, but he also died knowing that his son was a flippin' idiot.
Yeah.
And that he was just nasty and greedy and mean. He was just mean.
He was bad.
Because he didn't need these cars that he was chopping. He didn't need the money from the chop shop.
No.
He didn't need any of that.
No.
He was he was just an ill person.
My God, he could have resold the airplane hangar.
Yeah. And made money.
Made money off of it. And been fine for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Oy
vey.
Vey.
Well, I'm going to sugarcoat that with some caramel frosting.
Oh, yeah, let's hear about that caramel frosting.
Okay, guys.
This is so good.
Oh, God. It makes me hungry for it to read this, but we're just going to keep on moving.
Yeah.
Okay. So this, I adjusted it to 36 servings. But if people write to us and want this, it's on All Recipes, by the way, allrecipes.com. And it is actually called Caramel Frosting 1.
Caramel Frosting 1.
1. Uno. Caramel Frosting Uno.
I love it when All Recipes does that.
Yes. So it says that and this is where I went wrong. I should have read it yields a 1, 8, or 9 inch layer.
I know. But we were in a rush. We were trying to pack.
We were just trying to get shit done.
We were tired. We were trying to plan how are we going to go from 60-degree weather to 2-degree weather. How's this going to work out?
Yeah. All right. So the ingredients are very basic. Butter, milk, brown sugar, confectioner's sugar, vanilla extract. You probably have all that stuff in your kitchen right now.
Yeah, get up and make it right this minute. So you can
get up and make it, and I'm telling you, you could put a Ritz cracker in this. It's good. Oh. You don't need a cake. If you don't have a cake candy, it's no problem. Just eat it with a Ritz cracker.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, or a spoon. Just eat it with a spoon. So, okay, this is what you do. Your dog.
I know. He's got a little pep in his step now.
He's got a little pep in his step. In a saucepan over medium heat, you melt your butter, and you mix in your milk and your brown sugar, and you boil that vigorously for 1 minute. So you get it to bubbling, and once it starts bubbling, you set that timer for 1 minute, and you let it bubble. Let that shit bubble.
Bubble up?
Yes. And then when it's done, after that minute, you remove it from the heat. Oh, dear. And you... Then it says beat in your confectioner's sugar. I just used a whisk, and I didn't have to use a hand mixer or anything. I hand did it.
Yeah, it's funny. She started using the whisk. I'm so used to us using the KitchenAid. I totally forgot I've got a hand mixer. So
yeah. But it's okay.
The whisk worked just fine. It's not so thick that you can't do it.
Not at all. And I've got a sore shoulder, and I still was able to do it. So I did fine. I just whisked, and eventually all the little lumps of that sugar just melt right into that yummy stuff. So then it says to cool slightly, which all I did was, so you've taken it off the heat anyway, and then you've got your confectioner's sugar in it. I literally think I counted to 60, and then I was like, that's fine. Because we were in a hurry.
And you had pre-baked your cakes.
Yeah, I pre-baked
so they were completely
cool, so it was fine to do
If your cake is not completely cool, this icing is not going to set up right for you.
No, you definitely want that cake to be nice and cool. So, and then you beat in your vanilla and your remaining confectioner's sugar. It says beat it in. Again, I just hand whisked it, and then when I made this, it was a little thicker than I wanted because I wanted to be able to pour it onto the cake. And so I actually added just a little bit, like I think a tablespoon at a time of milk and whisked it until I got it to the consistency that I wanted. I wanted it to pour like thick batter, like brownie batter. And that's what it did. I just poured it. Guys, it was so good. You put it on there when this is
still warm.
Because once it gets dry, once it gets cool, it gets dry and tacky, and you cannot work with it.
No.
So anyway, it was perfect.
And it's not really the kind of icing either that you're going to spread, with the knife around the edges and stuff. It's like a pour it on. Just pour it on. And just keep pouring and let it flow over and use your knife or whatever to just even it out. Yeah.
But that was it. So you could even, if you were using this on cupcakes, you could dip your cupcakes in this. So, and I wouldn't even try to ice it or
get in there and make some more.
Oh, well, if you had the ingredients, well, I shouldn't say that because she probably does not be in there making it.
No, we're not eating sugar right now.
We're not doing it. So anyway, that was perfect. It was perfect.
It was delicious. It was a wonderful birthday.
It was a good birthday for you.
Yeah.
And hopefully for Andrea as well.
Yeah. So, well, we did have to come home earlier because of a sledding incident.
It was a sledding incident.
But not with us.
Stomach issues. There were things going on.
But
and that's what kept us from recording when we got home.
And listen, another threat of snow and me scared to death to come off the mountain.
Yeah, that's true. We hightailed it out of there. But we were very happy with it.
We were, and I was really proud of us. We stopped one time.
On the way home.
We're getting home. And that was it. We went to the bathroom. We got ourselves a snack, and that was it. We were. Yeah. I was getting home.
We were getting home. Got to get to our people.
So it was a lot of fun, and the cake was delicious. And if you want the recipe, let us know. But what you got going on over there?
So we were in Fayetteville, West Virginia. Town that we were
beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
And there is actually quite a mystery that came out of this little town that I don't know what I was going to say that was born in this town, but that's a weird way to say it. So I'm just going to preface this up front with, I really hope I do this story justice because it really is a mystery and it really is such a delightful little town. It's very charming and I can only imagine what it was in the 1940s. Right. Because it really is just the sweetest little place. I just want to do it justice, and I apologize up front if I mess it up. So
I don't think you will.
I hope not. I really hope not. So 1945, we're at Fayetteville, West Virginia. That's our setting.
Gotcha.
Okay.
In the Appalachian Mountains.
Yes. All right. George Sodder. He was born in Sardinia, Italy.
Italy?
Yes.
Oh, wow. He came a long way.
Yeah, and he immigrated with his brother to the U.S. at the age of 13.
Oh, my.
As soon as they cleared customs at Ellis Island, his older brother turned around and went back to Italy, leaving George to fend for himself and find his own way at the age of 13.
Jiminy crickets.
How crazy is that?
That's insane.
Yes. Well, he did actually find his way.
Good for him.
So he found some work in Pennsylvania at on the railroads.
I've been working on the railroad all the live long day.
Yeah. We break into song because it's just who we are. So he actually carried water and supplies to the workers of the railroad. And eventually he found work as a driver in West Virginia. And then George started his own trucking company, hauling dirt for construction sites. And then eventually he switched to hauling coal because this is a huge coal mining area.
Yeah.
So he married Jenny Cipriani. She was also an Italian immigrant.
Sounds like a nice Italian girl.
I know. So they made a very nice Italian couple.
Isn't that something?
And they settled just outside of Fayetteville, West Virginia.
Wow. Wow, wow.
Yes. Fayetteville, West Virginia, at that time, had a very large Italian immigration population, so they felt very much at home.
Wow, that's nice.
They built a beautiful house. I think it was 2 stories and a basement. 2 stories and a basement, or 2 stories and an attic. I don't know. It was a nice house.
I did see a lot of houses there that had basements, which I always think is so unusual in that mountainous area because the water comes off the mountain and you get floods and stuff from creeks. But
I guess they know what they're doing.
I guess so.
So they built this house 2 miles north of town. It was a farm because back then people sustained their life with farming, of course, because you couldn't just get everything you needed at the store.
Right.
And George ran his business. They ended up having 10 children.
Jiminy crickets.
Children. I'm going to go through them.
Okay.
Joe, John, Marion, George Jr., Maurice, Martha, Louise, Jenny, little Jenny, Betty, and Sylvia.
Is that in order?
That's in order.
So they didn't get a junior until like the 4th kid?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I guess they were paying homage to some other people.
Maybe.
So I'm really enjoying your dog.
I know, but it's either this or I'm going to hold him or he's going to whine. I don't know how to make you happy.
Can we turn him outside?
No.
Okay.
I don't know how to make you happy at this point. I'm trying my best.
Either he's going to be happy or I'm going to be happy, so we're just going to choose his happiness.
I think I might be at a point now where both of you will be happy for a couple minutes. So continue on.
Please hurry. Okay, so they filled this home with 10 children, and they became a very respected family in that community.
Nice.
George did have some strong opinions, and being the Italian that he was, he shared them freely, especially about his feelings for at that time, the Italian dictator Mussolini.
Mussolini!
Yes, so he was the dictator of his homeland, and he had some strong words for Mussolini.
Which, when you're in America, you're allowed to say freely.
You are. Some of his Italian immigrants didn't share George's views, and this sometimes led to some pretty serious arguments.
Oh my.
Yeah. But it's okay. So in 1945, I'm going to talk about the children for a minute.
Okay.
Joe was 25. He had left the house and was serving in World War II.
Mm.
And then you had John, 23.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Marion, who was 17.
Okay.
George Jr. was 16. John and George Jr. helped their father with his business.
Okay.
You also had Maurice, who was 14. Martha was 12. Louise was 9. Jenny was 8. Betty was 5. And little Sylvia was 2. Okay. So, let's keep that in mind. So, Christmas Eve, 1945. We got a little bird on Anne's bird feeder, and it's not a little bird, it's a mockingbird.
Yeah, it is.
So
he's trying to figure out how to get into the little bird feeder.
So George and Jenny and their 9 children, because Joe was out of the house, were celebrating Christmas on Christmas Eve. And the children, the smaller children, got to open some presents that Martha, who was 17 at the time, Marion was 17 at the time. She was working at a retail store in town, and she went and bought her little siblings some toys for Christmas. Aww. And they got to open those presents Christmas Eve. So they were very excited.
That is nice.
Yes, and they had a nice little family celebration, and they set up for the next day, the feast and everything for the next day.
Wow.
Around 10 o'clock that evening, Jenny decided to take baby Sylvia and head to bed. George and the other 2 boys, the 2 older boys, they had already gone to bed. They were exhausted. They had worked all day.
Right.
So the younger children pleaded with Mom to stay up longer so that they could play with their toys. And Jenny agrees with a few conditions. First of all, the older kids were in charge. So Marion would be in charge. Maurice would be in charge. Martha would be in charge.
Okay.
And then the other kids were 9, 8, 5, and 2.
I mean, you kind of got to divide, your stuff up when you have that many kids. My good Lord.
Yeah, so they were in charge. And then the rule was, like it always was, the last person to go to bed or the last person old enough to do this, they turn off the lights, they close the curtains, and they lock the doors before heading up.
Okay.
And the 2 older boys that were up, they also had to go get the cows and the chickens in before they went to bed.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yes. So the kids head to bed around 11:15, 11:30.
Okay.
There were 2 large bedrooms upstairs in the attic. It was like there was an attic they had converted, And there were 2 large bedrooms, one for the boys and one for the girls.
Oh, okay.
But George Jr. and John didn't sleep up there. They slept down closer to their parents' bedroom. Uh-huh. And then Sylvia was the baby, so she was sleeping in their room. Okay. She had a crib in the parents' room. So they go off to bed around 11:15, 11:30, and they go up to the little, I call them little dormer rooms because there was one for the girls, one for the boys.
Right.
Marion, who was 17, fell asleep on the couch, and she just stayed on the couch for the night. And so around 12:30 in the morning, the telephone rings, and it woke Jenny up. And she goes downstairs to answer it, and a female voice asked for someone Jenny had never heard of.
Huh.
She told the caller wrong number. The female let out this really weird laugh and hung up.
Huh.
So Jenny goes back to bed. But on the way back to bed, Jenny noticed that Marion was asleep on the couch. So she left her there. But she also noticed the curtains were open. The doors were unlocked. They had not done the things they were supposed to do. Even the lights were still on.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so she goes about completing the chores that the kids didn't do and goes to bed.
Okay.
Around 1 o'clock in the morning, Jenny is again awoken. This time, she hears what she thinks are rocks hitting the tin roof. They had a tin roof. Mm-hmm. And then rolling down the roof.
Oh.
She was like, that is so weird. But she was exhausted, and she fell back to sleep.
Oh.
So about 30 minutes later, she woke up to the smell of smoke. And boy, do I know how this feels.
Right.
Been in this situation, and it is sheer panic.
Right.
Just like, holy shit, what's that smell? So she goes down and 1 floor down, and she sees that George's office, which is where the telephone was,
right,
was on fire.
Oh, no.
The office wall was on fire.
Oh, that's weird.
She was like, oh, my God. So she goes and wakes up George, and he goes and gets his 2 older sons, and they come out, and by then, the entire stairway to that attic is engulfed in flames.
Oh, no.
Yes. And it is so hot, they grab Marion off the couch, Sylvia out of her crib, and they run outside. So they get outside. Of course, there's nothing but panic. They start yelling and screaming for those children upstairs to get themselves out. Raise a window, break a window, whatever they can.
Right.
George actually races to grab these 2 ladders that he always leaves propped up against the house so he can climb up to the children.
Right.
But the ladders are gone. They're nowhere to be found.
Oh, no.
Yes. He actually climbed up the wall of his house, barefooted.
Oh, my gosh.
Climbing up and got to a window that was an attic window that was not part of the bedrooms and was able to break it with his hand. He sliced a huge hunk out of his arm doing it, didn't even notice.
Right.
So then he's screaming in there, but the roof is really hot. He's on a tin roof.
Right.
There's fire everywhere, and he starts screaming, and he can't get the kids to come to the window.
Right.
So he's like, oh my God, I got to figure out how to get in there. So he runs to his work truck, which these are big, like, hauling trucks, like what you haul, like, I guess they're like dump truck type things. Right. So he's thinking, okay, I'm going to drive it up, and then I'm going to be able to climb up on the very tallest edge of this, and then jump up and get to these windows.
Right.
He goes to one truck. He goes to start it. The truck will not start.
Oh, my God.
He had just used these trucks that day. There was nothing wrong with them.
Wow.
He runs to the other truck. That truck will not start. He is helpless.
Wow.
He goes to a rain barrel to try to get the rain barrel full of water to at least douse some of the fire. It is frozen solid.
Oh, no.
He cannot do anything. So at this point, Marion takes off running. And she has to run to the neighbor's house. When I tell you to the neighbor's house, it's not like we're used to.
No,
she has to cross all of their farm and all of the other farm to get to this house.
Right.
So she runs to the house, bangs on the door to use their telephone to call the fire department. Because back then there was no 911.
No.
So you have to remember the number to the fire department.
Yeah.
She calls and gets to get the operator, because the phones didn't work the same way they do now.
Yeah.
You have to call the operator, give me the fire department.
Right.
The operator didn't answer. They could not get an answer from the operator at all. So, in the meantime...
Because it's Christmas, right?
It's Christmas Eve. Yeah. So, in the meantime, there was a passerby driving through and saw from the road this house on fire.
Right.
So, he goes to the nearest tavern and he stops to use their phone.
Oh, okay.
And he calls...
From the tavern.
From the tavern. And he cannot get an operator to answer.
Oh, my gosh.
So, he gets in his vehicle and he races to the house of the police chief because he knows where he lives.
Right.
Oh my gosh, there's a house on fire. It's huge. I think it's the Sodder's house. You've got to come quick.
Right.
So the fire chief starts what's known as the phone tree.
Right.
Because that's the only way you can get the other firefighters. Well, there's no operator.
Right.
How is he getting them? And by the way, he doesn't know how to drive the fire truck.
What?
Right. Yeah. He can't do it.
This is the fire chief?
This is the fire chief.
Holy smokes.
Yes. I've gotten so far ahead of myself and telling the story without even looking at my notes. So the fire department actually shows up at 8 o'clock in the morning.
What?
Yeah.
Not until 8 o'clock in the morning?
And by then, this house is just rubble and ashes.
Yeah, it's nothing. There's nothing left. It's over.
As a matter of fact, it had burned for about 45 minutes before the roof collapsed into itself.
Right.
And they had to sit there and watch it burn, knowing that those children were in there burning.
Oh my God.
They never came to the kids never came to the window. They never heard them scream. Nothing.
Wow.
And so, of course, they're devastated. So, the firefighters do a cursory look through the ashes, and they couldn't find any remains of any children.
Wow.
Not a bone fragment, not a tooth, not an organ, nothing.
Wow.
And so that's kind of weird.
That is kind of weird.
So the fire chief says to George, don't disturb this area. We're going to call in the state fire marshal to investigate. Well, 4 days later, George and Jenny could no longer bear the sight of this heap of rubble.
No,
they couldn't look at it again. It was
heartbreaking.
heartbreaking. And so George actually brings in with his bulldozer and hauling truck 5 feet of dirt, and he covers it.
Oh, wow.
And they decide they're going to make a memorial garden for their children, their 5 children that were burned. And the 5 children that were burned are Maurice, 14, Martha, 12, Louis, I don't know, it was a guy, 9.
Right.
Little Jenny, 8 years old, and Betty, 5 years old.
Oh, God.
So it's heartbreaking. And they're just devastated, which I can only imagine. Death certificates are issued for these 5 children, although there are no bodies. The cause of death is noted as an accident, and they note that the fire is due to faulty wiring. Well, I don't know how they came to that conclusion. And George doesn't like this because
how do they come to that conclusion?
And just weeks before, George had his house rewired because they got a new oven or something, and he needed it rewired and the circuit breaker updated. So they had an electrician that came in, did the rewiring, and then certified it as safe.
Wow. So
how is this faulty wiring? And Jenny remembers that the lights in the house, because she had left on the Christmas lights when she went to bed, after she came back and said the kids didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Right.
Those lights stayed on for at least half the time that the house was burning.
Yeah.
So what? Wow. It was a little odd. Yeah. And they just came to this conclusion they used a jury to decide this. Like I don't know. I'm sure our firefighter friends can tell us, but there's like a group of people that get elected to sit on this jury type panel to go through the documentation and listen to what the firefighters and the fire chief say, and then they're the ones that determine what the cause of the fire was.
Which is actually not a bad idea, because then maybe less cases of fraud. But
yeah,
we'll see.
It would have been nice if I had that when I had my house fire.
I was thinking.
Yeah. So on January 2nd, there was a funeral for all of the 5 lost children. George and Jenny were so distraught they could not attend. But the older children did attend.
Right.
As George and Jenny started to climb out of the shock and fog of their horrific loss, because this is undeniably just horrific, they start to question the events of that night and even the events kind of leading up to it. So I'm going to go through the points in question that I found. And I read lots of documents.
Right.
And I will tell you that there was an excavation that happened, and that excavation did bring up some bones, and they were sent to the Smithsonian Institute.
Wow.
So there's even an article about this in the Smithsonian magazine about these children and what happened to them and what their report said. So I'll get to that. So in October, before this fire happened in December, there was a life insurance salesman who went to George to try to buy him life insurance, or not to buy him, to sell him life insurance. But he was rebuffed by George. And this kind of made the guy mad, and he hurled a threat saying George's house would go up in smoke and his children would be destroyed.
Oh, my word.
That was in October.
Wow.
And it turns out that same insurance guy sat on the inquiry jury that determined the cause of the fire.
For heaven's sake.
Yeah, that sounds a little squirrely to me.
Yeah.
So, George stated all along that this fire started on the roof, but there was nothing left of the house, and they couldn't prove it.
Right.
But he said all along, this started on the roof. The way that it burned, he felt like it had started on the roof and gone down that wall where he was, but he couldn't understand why the stairwell was so engulfed so quickly.
Right.
And the heat was hot. It was a hot fire. But, and then, there's the question of why are there no remains of these children?
Right.
Where are they?
Where are they?
So Jenny actually contacted...
Just think about this. The story I just did had an incinerator that burned at 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit, and there was still a tooth and bones in there left over. So even on the outside of it, there was blood for 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that leads me to this. So Jenny has a friend at a local crematorium. Mm-hmm. She contacts that person and says, how long does it take a fire to burn that would it just burn up all the remains of all 5 of my children? Right. Not just we found 4, there was 1 missing, or we found 3 or found 2. There was all 5 of them.
Right.
So this person said it takes a fire of 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit to burn for 2 hours to turn a body into ash.
And even with that, there's still
when you get pieces. Sometimes when you get ashes back of your loved ones, there are still some little teeny pieces in there. So this really confused Jenny because she said some of her appliances did not burn completely.
Oh my gosh!
And not only that, but you could recognize the oven, or you could recognize the refrigerator. Right. So they didn't completely burn. So she was like, it couldn't have been that hot. And it only burned for 45 minutes. Right. So that was very upsetting. As a matter of fact, poor Jenny was so obsessed with this that throughout the years, if a dead animal was found on their property, she would go and burn it in a fire to see how long it would take to burn it completely. Because she just kept thinking, could my children have burned in this fire? Why didn't we find anything? Right. So... also, the ladder that George was looking for, it was actually found thrown down an embankment 75 feet away from their property. Wow. They're not sure what happened, but witnesses had said that the day before, they saw some men going in and out of the property, and they felt like maybe they had gone in and taken the ladders or something. They had stolen the ladders. Was that just a coincidence, or was that something more sinister? Right. Eyewitnesses also said those same 2 guys had been seen with equipment that it takes to actually remove the engine blocks from cars. Oh. But the engines were intact in George's trucks, and there was never an explanation as to why those trucks didn't start that night. Right. There was nobody ever really said. Some people say, well, we think he just, in his panic, he flooded them. But would he have done that to both of them? Right. Like, this is a man who drove trucks for a living. Right. So that was a little suspicious. Now, let's talk about this fire chief. He couldn't drive trucks, and this is why he said he didn't show up until 8 o'clock.
I don't know about a fire chief that can't drive a damn truck.
I'm not sure either. Maybe, I don't know. My firefighter friends maybe can tell me what went on in the 1940s that maybe only that was a specialty.
I mean, that's a bad plan. I'm just going to tell you right now.
I feel like everybody on the fire department should be able to drive a truck.
Agreed.
They should be able to do all the jobs.
Exactly.
It's called cross-training.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm just saying. So this fire chief, now supposedly he found a heart and a bone fragment at the scene.
Oh.
But he didn't want to upset the family.
Oh.
So he buried them on the property in a steel box.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'll get back to that.
Okay. That's interesting.
A few years later, Sylvia was on the property near where the garden, because I'll tell you, this memorial garden is something that Jenny tended to every single day for the rest of her life.
Right.
It was almost like that was her connection to her children.
Right.
So she would take Sylvia, she would go garden, and Sylvia would play.
Right.
Well, in some bushes on that side of the property, Sylvia found what Sylvia described as a pineapple bomb, which was actually a grenade.
What?
Was that what Jenny heard?
Yeah.
Falling down the roof and hitting the roof like she thought it was rocks.
Wow.
Could that have been it? I mean, these are all questions.
Crazy.
Yes. So George spent a lot of money. There were tips all over the place. George spent a lot of money trying to find answers. And he ended up hiring a private investigator after Jenny got in the mail a picture that looked just like her Louise.
Oh.
But aged.
Oh.
And the zip code was in Kentucky.
Oh.
It's also a zip code found in Italy.
Oh.
So they didn't know, but they thought it was postmarked from Kentucky.
Oh.
So they hire an investigator. The investigator first, he starts getting, stuff. He goes to talk to the fire chief. The fire chief is the one that tells him about the steel box that he buried.
Oh.
So he says, will you take me to where you buried it? So they go and unbury it. And what's in there is not a heart. It's actually a beef liver.
Like you buy at the store?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what the hell was this fire chief doing?
Oh, no. I can't drive a truck and I bought a beef liver I thought I'd buried on your property.
And pretend like it was one of your children?
Oh, my God.
But I didn't tell you? What is he doing? He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, this one. I don't know. So, anyway, so then the private investigator goes off to Kentucky to try to find this picture, or the owner of this picture of this boy. And he is never seen or heard from again. He vanished.
The private investigator vanished?
Vanished.
Oh, no.
Yes. So, some people think this was mafia related because of George's very outspoken comments against Mussolini. Some people think the mafia was definitely trying to move into the coal mining business and into this area.
Right.
They thought maybe, George was not always the nicest person when people approached him with business ideas like life insurance. So, did he piss off a mafia person? Was this a kidnapping? Were the children maybe the reason that the door was still unlocked was that the children were kidnapped? And stolen and then the fire was set to hide the evidence of the children being stolen. These are all the questions that kept coming up. There was a woman who ran a bed and breakfast type thing, but it was a bed and breakfast that you didn't have to spend the night there to get breakfast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, that was between Fayetteville and Charleston, West Virginia is where she was. Mm-hmm. And she said she feels really certain that she fed those 5 children the next day. She fed them breakfast.
What?
Yeah. She didn't know anything that had happened at that point. News didn't travel in a moment back then.
Right.
But she said those 5 children, she said, I fed them breakfast. And they were accompanied by 2 very large Italian men with very, very strong Italian accents that spoke to each other in Italian, and they would not let me communicate with those children.
Wow.
Right. So she did come forward, and the car license plate that she remembers was from Florida, which, I mean, of course, back then, you didn't get a lot of people from out of your state. Right. So to see a Florida license plate. I
will say on our way.
Oh my gosh, there were so many Floridians. Very much. I don't know. Maybe Floridians in West Virginia. Maybe there's a connection. So, like I said, there was an excavation of the site in August of 1949. So this happened in 45. So they found some things that they found was a partially burned dictionary.
What?
Right.
How could you have a partially burned dictionary and no bones?
They found some damaged coins, and they found shards of vertebrae.
Oh.
So they sent those to the Smithsonian.
Okay.
It came back that they were definitely human lumbar vertebrae.
Okay.
Okay. They belonged to one person.
Okay.
When they did the aging of that, of those vertebrae, they did not fit the right age range for any of the children.
Oh, that's so weird.
And there was no evidence of those vertebrae ever being in fire. So they felt like it was in the fill dirt that George brought in.
Oh.
Yeah, that George maybe brought in to fill that 5 feet of dirt.
Right.
That's a lot of dirt.
It is a lot of dirt.
So they felt like that's what it came from, and that the excavators never really got all the way down to the burn site.
Right.
Yeah.
Dang it.
I know. So George spent a lot of money and erected this huge memorial sign at the site of his property, and where the garden was, and it had the pictures of the 5 children. He put up a $5,000 reward.
Wow.
Which at that time it was equal to about $217,000.
Wow.
And 5 years later, he doubled it.
Wow.
It was a lot of money. And it said on the billboard, it had the children's faces, it had their ages and their names, and it said, "What happened to our children? Kidnapped, murdered, or burned.
Wow. Please
help us find out what happened, or if you have anything, please call us," or whatever. So that stayed up. So over the years, they got loads of tips. They would find out that one of the convents in New York said they had Martha in the convent. And George would pack his bags and go to New York, and he would come back with no answers. He found out that there was a couple that supposedly had adopted Betty, because there was a high, back then there was a lot of adoption scams going on.
Right.
People would kidnap kids and then sell them.
Right.
So he went to try to find where, this Betty supposedly was adopted, and he went, and the parents would not let him see the child, and they would not speak to him.
Oh,
so he came home with no answers. But this absolutely tortured him for the rest of his life.
Oh, God.
Yes. So Sylvia, who was 2 at the time, she said that her first childhood memory is of that night of the fire.
She remembers it?
She remembers it. She remembers her dad being injured because it took a huge chunk out of his arm when he tried to break that glass. She said she remembers the screaming, the crying, the panic, the everything. She says, I remember, that is my first childhood memory. And she said over the years, she and her dad had many, many conversations about what could have happened.
Right.
It just haunted them.
I'm sure.
Jenny never came out of mourning. She wore black for the rest of her life. She tended to that garden. She kept to herself. She was devastated.
I'm sure.
She lost her babies, and she couldn't find answers. Like, she lost them and doesn't know where they went.
Right. Just disappeared.
Yeah. So it was very difficult for her. George ended up dying in 1968. And at that point, she put a fence around her property because she had a lot of people that would walk through and stuff like that.
Right.
She fenced off her property. She put up a wall to her house. She started to actually wall herself in away from the public because she really had a difficult time. She died in 1989, and at that point, the sign was taken down.
Wow.
Right. So there's never been any answers to this.
That's so bizarre. Even today, you would think
there's nothing.
With the technology we have, why not go
back to the burn site and try to find it?
Try and do something.
Sylvia and her children and her grandchildren still search for answers. They still take any opportunity to put it out in the public eye. She's done a couple of true crime type interviews. She tried to get on Unsolved Mysteries, but they never put her story on, which was
that's too bad. That would be a great story for Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, what a horrible tragedy in that beautiful, charming little town.
I know, that's awful.
And
and to still have no answers.
No answers. No. Mm-mm. It is something. So,
well, hopefully the right person will listen to our podcast and
I know
maybe make a connection.
Maybe if we could get some psychic mediums to work on it, to go to the property and try to feel some presence or not. I don't know. I mean, maybe the children aren't there. What presence would you find? I don't it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So I just think it's heartbreaking. And the hardest thing I think is that Jenny has now passed. She and George have passed without ever finding out any answers to this.
Well, they know now.
They do know now. Sylvia is the only one left. She's the only one left in that family.
Right.
So she tries to keep it alive with her children and her grandchildren, trying to keep that legacy alive, which I think is very noble. But bless them all.
I mean, wow, that was a deep, dark story.
It's quite a mystery. And I feel very privileged to have found out about this.
Yeah.
And to be able to tell other people about it.
Yeah, Andrea drove us around the town and
she pointed out where the house
was. And
yeah.
I didn't see it because I was too scared because we were going around these curves.
Well,
I felt like she didn't have a brake. I couldn't look at anything except for the
She's a little bit used to the mountain roads, and Ann and I are used to the roads of the low country. You'd have a huge mountain on one side and a creek on the other
Lord
side.
have mercy.
No shoulder on the road, no guardrail, no nothing. And she was like, hey, look at that. Hey, look at that. And we were like, I can't lift my head up. So, but she was an awesome tour guide. She showed us some gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. If anybody ever gets the chance to, you want to go and find a charming little town that just has really cute, neat restaurants. Like all the restaurants are locally owned. They're, they're all local, very, I don't want to say eclectic, but just unique, very unique restaurants.
That's what you would think. Like you would almost think it would be country cooking or something, but it's not.
No, well, but it had a very, very deep roots in Italian food too.
Yeah, very true. So, we had fantastic pizza.
Gosh,
it had like steak and a horseradish sauce. It was insane.
Amazing.
It was really good.
Yeah. So we had a great time. So there's my murder mystery.
Wow. That's amazing. And again, we talk about fire and burning in both of them. That's crazy.
I know.
Well, you're crazy.
Oh, well, I know. I need some help, please. So, speaking of help.
Oh.
We have social media.
I'm like, what kind of help do you need? What can I do for you, lady?
Help. I need people to email us on social media and let us know. We did have 2 new members join our group, our fan page.
Yeah, I saw one of them's from Seoul, Korea.
I know.
Konnichiwa.
I think that's Japanese.
Sorry.
Hello in Korean.
Hello.
We're happy to have you, even though you will soon find that we are crazier than, I don't even know, a box of Pop Rocks.
Right.
But we mean well. We do mean well. And we probably often offend, but we never intend.
No. God, no. My God.
So, social media. We have email, and that address is murder.sugarcoated@gmail.com. Ta-da!
Yay! We also have a Facebook fan page. It's Sugar Coated Murder Podcast fan page.
Yes.
Anybody can be a member. Just request it and we'll say okie doke.
We have not denied anybody yet, so don't worry. But when you're there, you are among over 160 of our closest friends. Yes. So you are now one of our closest friends, little Korea lady.
Yeah. Is that offensive? Because we didn't mean it to be.
Well, I mean, I just meant she's a lady, and I'm sure, in my eyes, she's probably little, not because she's Korean, just because she's a lady. Whatever. But please don't leave us. Please don't Please don't leave our fan group page now that we've said this. I've said this.
You're sure that it's a female?
I don't know.
You don't know. We don't know.
I thought, okay, so I didn't look at her profile, but I looked at her picture. Oh, I thought that picture was a person. No, I thought it was a lady, not a flower. See, I didn't have my glasses on. It's okay. Whatever it is, we love you. We love all the new people. There was another new person that came on too. So it wasn't just the Korea lady or Korea person. I should say person to everything. But we had another person join too. So whatever.
And I missed that one. Who was that?
Well, it was recently. It was a lady from Elizabeth City, North Carolina.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she was brought in from another lady that lives in Elizabeth City that came in like a couple weeks ago.
Wow. Look at that.
Look at us go. Yes.
I mean, we're on fire.
On fire.
Oh my God.
So then also we have Instagram.
We do. We have the gram. Karen is fantastic at managing our.
We're up to 877 followers.
Holy cow.
My dream is to be at 1,000 one day. I don't know what happens when that happens, but I just feel like that's a great number to be at.
Yep.
But
and you're trying to figure out the TikTok.
Guys, we're on TikTok. We're on TikTok as Sugar Coated Murder Podcast.
I downloaded TikTok, but
I don't know how to do the tick or the talk.
I don't know.
But well,
you've been watching videos.
I at least watched some videos, and I did put one thing out there. It was a voiceover. Like I had to actually voice over. I had to talk.
Oh,
but I didn't show my face.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I showed like our one of our audiograms that was playing in the background, and then I just talked about what that episode was.
I loaded it on my phone.
Yeah.
That's as far as I've gotten.
Yeah, we're trying to get on TikTok. But if you're on TikTok, please find us and follow us. Because I think I have like 2 followers right now. One is my husband.
Oh, wow.
And one is actually a person that follows us on Instagram.
Oh, that's nice.
And then she saw that.
And she's probably like, why are you even on TikTok?
Well, she's on TikTok.
I know, but she's probably wondering why we're not doing anything.
Well, yeah,
it's because we don't know how.
You, so do something.
We don't know how.
Like, I don't know how to tick.
We don't have a talking parrot or a self-help.
No, or a talking husky.
Nothing.
Or a dog that knows how to talk with the buttons on
God,
the floor.
no, my God.
We don't have any of that crap.
Trout saw buttons on the floor. You'd be like, what?
And if my dog saw buttons on the floor, she'd eat it.
Yeah.
So no, there's nothing. We don't have much, but just come TikTok with us, please.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's our social media pretty much right there.
Yeah.
So, email us for any recipes. Email us and tell us any murders you want us to cover. Or if you don't want us to cover it and you know a murder, just tell us a story. Just give us some sign that you're out there and you like us.
Right. It's February. It's a month of love.
It is the month of love.
Show love us.
Please love us. We need love.
We need love. Jackson. Oh my God!
Now too.
Oh wow!
Oh, and speaking of ding dang dong, speaking of that,
and if that was offensive to anybody, we're really sorry.
Sorry, but anyway, if you're on the fan page, we usually put our sound checks up there if they're funny, and today we do actually have a gift. It's our gift to all the birthday people for February. Mm-hmm. So when you see it on there, play that little ditty.
Yeah.
And you can listen to the craziness that goes on, not just during our podcast, but what happens before.
Exactly.
One day we'll start recording what happens after, because that's a whole nother shit show.
Oh, yeah.
So, word to your mother.
Oh. Isn't it word to your mama?
Oh, yeah. I guess I was a little proper for that.
Right.
Word to your mama.
Word to your mother.
How your mother doing?
How your mother doing? How you doing?
How you doing and how your mama is?
I don't know.
Whatever. We love guys. We love you. Go make some caramel frosting and just eat it.
And stay sweet.
Just eat it. Eat it. Eat it. Okay. Bye, y'all. We love you.
Stay sweet.
And don't murder.
Because if you murder... If you kill people...
Jesus loves you. This I know.
If you kill people, we will talk about you. Bye.
Bye, y'all.